I cannot stress to you how important this game is between Jacksonville and Cleveland this Sunday will be. But I will try here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh, yeah, baby. It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. You can find us over on our YouTube page that's called Locked On Jaguars, and any platform where you listen to podcasts, wherever you get them, you can find us there too. Shout out to the Everydayers for joining us every day here on Locked On Jaguars. And also got to let you know that today's show is brought to you and sponsored by LinkedIn. That's right, LinkedIn, man. You need to post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. If you want to find qualified candidates that you want to talk to and want to talk to you, make sure you do that. Terms and conditions apply. We're going to get right down to it, man. It's a big game here in the city. It's the home opener for the Jaguars. I'm going to go through some things here. By the time we land in segment 3, I'm going to get to this ridiculous thing that I built. I feel like I got to answer at this point. No, don't trade Mac Jones. I'll tell you why. Even thinking about it, it's crazy. But crazy can be bought. So I'll tell you why I do it if the price went to a certain place. We'll talk about that in a second. Common opponents in prime time. Last night, the Jaguars' week 1 opponent played their week 3 opponent. What does that tell you about the team? I'm going to make sure I warn you not to draw too many conclusions from that at all. And then, first and foremost, the importance of the home opener. Would it be important if the team hadn't lost last week? Sure. Would it be as important? Maybe. I believe, though, that now it goes beyond how important this game is this weekend. I think listen, man, the consequences of losing are far worse than what you gain from winning. So that means it's important, but it has a little bit of a negative connotation hooked and attached to it. The consequences of losing this game, going down 0-2, the way the AFC is set up right now, you're going to be looking at a team now that's trying to find it again and find a reason to get happy and find a reason where they have to garner up a whole bunch of stuff that ain't got nothing to do with blocking and tackling. They got to look for some mojo, and then that would mean they would have to get it together. The team that they'd have to get it together against if they were 0-2 or the Buffalo Bills, the one you saw last night, and that's why we're going to talk about them in segment 2. And then after that, they got to go on the road. If they were 0-3, they got to go get it. They got to go find their mojo in Houston. Mojo can be found, but it's hard to find when you're looking for it, right? And you expect it. So we ain't going to get ahead of ourselves. We're going to come right back. We ain't 0-3. We're not 0-4. They're 0-1. They're 0-1. They got a chance to win this game this weekend. In fact, they're favored to win the game this weekend. They should win the game this weekend, no matter how you slice it. Myles Garrett is the only thing I believe that could scare you, and that's a whole lot, but even he is not healthy. Don't know as of yet, at the time I recorded this, if he's going to play or not. But Deshaun Watson doesn't scare anybody. The offensive line, even if they got back Jedrick Willis and Jake Conklin played, they get a little bit better. But I think the Jaguars' defensive line, especially the ends, can take advantage of them a little bit. Nick Chubb isn't there. He's on injured reserve. 2 good receivers. Well, 1 really good receiver and another receiver that is trying to prove himself good. Amari Cooper's the good one, of course. The other receiver was not so – it hasn't been that great is Jerry Jeudy. David Njoku, who y'all know is a problem, is banged up. I don't think this team can beat Jacksonville because I don't think they're going to score enough points. I talked to Matt Williamson, a former NFL scout who hosted the Friday show with me on Locked On NFL, the barbershop edition. Matter of fact, y'all make sure you go check it out. But for me, he said that he thinks it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think the Jaguars are going to get some traction. Now, there are some other things on defense that you have to watch out for. They have other really good players on the defensive line. They got them littered all through every level. Linebacker, Denzel Ward's a real good corner. I think the Jaguars have a distinct advantage, though, in the fact that our wide receivers are tall. They now have more speed. The offensive line is healthy. And I'm just talking about things that they can do to combat the defensive line. And, of course, Jim Schwartz, who is the defensive coordinator, and Doug Peterson knows him very well, because every single time we reference the Super Bowl that was won in 2017, we have to remember that Jim Schwartz was the defensive coordinator of that team. So these guys have practiced against each other. They know each other very, very well. It's just going to be a matter of the winner of this game is going to be the team that is able to control the football and whose quarterback does not make mistakes. And I really and truly believe that Trevor Lawrence is better suited to do that. Plus, it sets up, man. They just named it, instead of Everbank, it's called Trevor Bank. They just named the stadium. It's going to be hype because everybody is, this is the first home game of the year. I was talking to the people from up in Cleveland yesterday. I did a hit with the Cleveland TV show, and they were like, Cleveland needed to get out of town. And even on the, I don't know if y'all heard the crossover with my man Jeff Lloyd from Locked On Browns. He said, yeah, man, they probably need to get out of town. That sounds familiar because about a year or two ago, I think it was last year when the Jaguars, the season first started, after the second week, they said we need to get out of here. And I got upset because that must have been a bad omen. Like, how you need to get out of town after 2 days, 2 games? So if Cleveland's already saying it after 1 game, and they don't even have training camp in Cleveland, they have it in Berea, which is right outside of Cleveland, but still, it ain't like they were sitting at the stadium this whole summer like the Jaguars, and they're already saying they need to get out of town. I'm thinking they get out of town because they're running from something. They're running from them boo birds and them dogs and them people up there with them little milk bone dog biscuits that's throwing, and that were booing them in the last game in the second quarter. I'm telling you, man, the last thing I want to see happen is Cleveland comes to their senses and put Jameis Winston in the game. Because they put Jameis Winston in the game, it could go a different way. And I know y'all going to say, man, you just love Florida State. No, I just think Deshaun Watson has been playing that poorly for a long, long time now. And I just think he can't get out of his own way. The Jaguars cannot be the elixir or the antibiotic for them. They have been for a lot of people. Jaguars been like an ER. And Dr. House has been the one working in there. Like, whatever you came here for, we're going to fix it. They've done that in the past. Lost games that they weren't supposed to. Let teams that were not as good as them beat them. Let teams that they outplayed beat them, as in Miami from last week, who got skull drugged last night by Buffalo. Once again, we'll talk about that in segment 2. But as of right now, I think the Jaguars are going to win the game. And I think everyone else around here expects that they're going to win the game. And I think that now tells you why I say the consequences for losing are way worse than the reward for winning. Because when you win it, you're expected to win it. And we know that they have a tough schedule the next couple of weeks. If you lose it, well, that tough schedule for the next couple of weeks looks tougher. And it's going to feel worse to the players. And the fans are going to be more upset. And my podcast show's probably going to go through the roof because we're going to go back to grief counseling. And we don't want to do that. That's my point. What we want to do is we want to try to move forward. We don't want to win 9 games again this year. I'm saying that now, but they mess around and lose 9 or more. People be saying, man, we beg for them 9 games to come back. I know. But here's what we want, man. We want them to go out and play solid football for 4 quarters and make it appear that the first 2 or 3 quarters of a game that they played last week in Miami was not just some sort of illusion, that that's who they're going to be. And they just had a misstep because one play kind of screwed them up and they didn't really get back on track the way they were supposed to. We're going to talk about that. Look at the common opponents. I'm going to make some compare and contrast to the way the Buffalo Bills played the Miami Dolphins and then the way the Miami Dolphins played the Buffalo Bills. And something happened in that game that's going to lead me to tell you why in segment 3 you don't need to trade Mac Jones to anybody. We're going to do all of that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. Today's episode is brought to you and sponsored by LinkedIn. You're starting a small business, you're going to need some help. How do I know that? Because I needed help with all of the things like contracting and making sure your following all the regulations locally, sometimes you forget that you actually need people to work for you. That's right. And LinkedIn is the place for you to go because it isn't just a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Here's what you got to do, man. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Remember, 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Got to let you know that today's show is sponsored by FanDuel. That's right, man. Y'all know all about FanDuel because I've been telling y'all about FanDuel as long as I can remember. You know why? Because they're America's #1 sports book. We got something different for you right now with FanDuel, too. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5, just $5, and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season game on Sunday afternoon out of market, all of them out of market. You'll be able to watch them all. All you need is a Google account and the current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. If that's not enough, be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's double your winnings for all of Sunday, this Sunday, September 15th, pregame money line bets. Profit Boost will be live starting Thursday. That was last night. View your account page now to learn more about your boost. All right, segment number 2 here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. A little common opponents action last night and something to compare and contrast to let you know what you got in your own team. That ain't going to happen. I ain't going to be able to draw a conclusion from what you have in your team, but I'll tell you what you don't have, right? Or you didn't have last week. You didn't have a killer instinct, and you didn't have an identity. I'm talking about the one that Buffalo had last night when they played Miami. So I want to tell y'all something about what they did. And I'll draw a parallel between what I have said the Jaguars need to do, maybe not to this extreme. So Buffalo has younger receivers. So they're playing through their offensive line and their quarterback. Their quarterback has only attempted 42 passes in 2 games. Trevor has half of that in his first game. So everybody gets all mad because they say he should have threw the ball more. Well, last year I heard everybody saying they should have run it more. This year they ran it 26 times and they only threw it 21 times, right? So Buffalo right now has thrown 42 times. Their quarterback has 371 yards. And that's not going to keep up. You wonder if that's sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable to beat really, really good teams. But I do believe what it is though they're allowing their young receivers to grow up a little bit, right? And they had a lot of attrition. They have a lot of free agents, big names, guys you know, Lee, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. He's right here in Jacksonville, right? It's because I think they kind of knew they had some development behind them or they were willing to at least go in that direction. Whereas the Jaguars as a team, they just loaded up on people. Gabe Davis was one of them, right? Eric Armstead. Come on. They just went. Darnell Savage. Come on, man. We need to. Because I think they kind of overcompensated for what they did last year and they sat pat, they stood pat. They didn't do enough stuff, right? It doesn't matter the reason as much as it matters about exactly what it is I'm saying that those teams, the Buffalo Bills did that the Jaguars should do. Remember the other day I said that stop in your mind worried about whether or not Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and then just let him be Troy Aikman, get everything else going, and then let him throw it 26, 27 times. And if all of that stuff is going, those windows are going to open and he's going to complete 19 of those passes for about 250, a couple of touchdowns. And every now and then you turn him loose if the game is dictated that way and he'll go get you 350 and throw it 35, 36 times. But there's a way, just because your quarterback has all this talent and has this big arm and everybody said he was going to be a Hall of Famer and he was the prince that was promised and all of this stuff, you don't have to try to live up to that with the way that you play. All his career, we've said that Josh Allen is right there, second to Patrick Mahomes. Talk about his arm strength, his talent, his ability to run the ball. Well, now guess what they're doing? They're using all of that stuff, and they're not making him throw the ball as much. They're kind of turning him into Ben Roethlisberger when Roethlisberger was young. He threw it a lot more when he got older, but early on when Pittsburgh was winning Super Bowls with Big Ben, they won 2. They had balance. And even though he could run and scramble and had a big arm, they didn't sit there and try to turn him into Dan freaking Marino. What they did was they won games. They figured out how to win games, learn how to win a different way. The problem is the Jaguars haven't learned to win consistently one way. So how can they hit a switch and learn how to win another one? You can look at the game last night when they dominated the Miami Dolphins, and you could say, well, damn, why couldn't we do that, right? And I warn you that comparison sometimes is the thief of joy, because the Jaguars actually were doing that with 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Miami only had 170 yards total. And then when the Jaguars fumbled, they ended up with over 400. So they got most of that in 17 minutes. The first 33 minutes, is that right, math? No, the first 43 minutes, Duval County School System, the first 43 minutes, the Jaguars actually did look like the Bills. So what was different? The difference is the Bills are used to beating the Miami Dolphins because that's what they always do. And they just kept being themselves. I know a lot of people say, well, their quarterback got hurt. You see that game, you thought Tua Tagovailoa was going to stop that? No, he wasn't. He was playing terrible. They were already, doing whatever they wanted to do with him. Miami wasn't coming back. And we'll talk about Tua at the end of the segment. Hope he gets well. But don't look at that game and think that's just because Team A beat Team B and then Team C beat Team A, that means Team C is just going to beat Team B. You can't do that. There's a lot that could be gained from the Jacksonville Jaguars winning this game this week against the Cleveland Browns. One thing is the confidence that's needed for them to tell themselves and each other, okay, we're back on track. Last week was just something that happened. We got off track. All right, we figured it out. Let's go up here and win this game next week. That's what could happen. They could play extremely well. They could play an entire game the way that they played the first 43 minutes, not 33, the first 43 minutes of that game last week. And then you can look at it and say, okay, they've played 8 quarters. Right? That's right. And almost 7 of those quarters were perfect. Just about. We're 2 minutes short of 7 out of 8 of the quarters we played to be perfect. And you could draw the conclusion that what that means is those 7 quarters represent more of who they are as a football team than the 2 quarters or the quarter or the 17 minutes represents. And then they can feel like they know who they are and they can go up and play a really, really solid football game. And then football is just a game of matchups. Sometimes it's just different. You play one team well and then you play another team, you don't play them so well. It happens. Sometimes it happens that way. For some reason, I can't explain it, but it just works out that way. It's just really about a game of matchups. What they're going to have to do, I believe, is play a very, very clean game that is more representative of all the hard work that they put in. And I'm telling you, I think they really did work hard. A lot of these guys worked hard. There's one thing, though, the Jaguars are afraid of, and we've always been afraid of it. And that's why it was very, very important for them to go and get Mac Jones. The opportunity to pick up a quarterback who has played a lot and hasn't played as poorly as people think he has, but it just wasn't living up to following Tom Brady in New England, who Mac has looked really, really good in the preseason. I always said, and if you follow me here on Locked On Jaguars, you heard me say it, that you cannot use the backup quarterback position as just, oh, well, if we lose our starter, we're done anyway. That can't be. You have to use a guy. You have to have a guy, at least if you're missing 3 or 4 weeks. There's no reason for you to have a dude you're paying $50 million and another dude that's making the league minimum. Spend a little bit more money, get a better backup. They're talking about Miami might be going to get Ryan Tannehill, who's sitting at home right now. And I guarantee you there ain't 31 quarterbacks better than him that's backups. But that's just the way that this thing goes sometimes. Mac Jones is going to be able to give them and provide them someone that they can continue to run their game plan, that can continue to give them a shot to win if something were to happen for Trevor for a short period of time. Miami doesn't have that. So it led a whole bunch of people. I mean, their offense doesn't even look the same. The people that's on fantasy football, they're about to go crazy. So it led a whole bunch of people to say, can we trade Mac Jones to Miami? I'm going to tell you why that's one of the dumbest things I heard anybody say in a long time. But then I'm going to tell you, I'll be dumb for the right price. I'll tell you in segment number 3 why, hell, don't challenge me to a good time because I just might do it. We'll do that in just a second here. Third and final segment on Locked On Jaguars. Today's show is brought to you and sponsored by Prize Picks. Man, Prize Pick is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers, man. You ain't got to worry about 20 million other people playing against you. No, it's just you against the numbers. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win, man. To get that $50, you just got to do exactly what I just told you. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. Make your second listen Locked On NFL. Both Locked On NFL shows. The one that has Tyler rolling early in the morning, like when you wake up, there's already a show looking at you right there. You're going to give you a couple of shots of espresso, all about the NFL with the use of local experts. We're going to find out exactly what's going around the league from the team's representative from the Locked On Podcast Network. And then you can check me out in the barbershop where we just laid back and cool, and we're just having a good conversation and talking about the NFL. So there's 2 doses of Locked On NFL. Check them both out on our YouTube page, on our Locked On NFL YouTube page, or wherever you get your podcast. All right. I talked about Mac Jones and people on social media wondering, can we trade Mac Jones to one of these teams? And so one of the propositions I saw was a 5th, and somebody said a 4th round pick. They said a 5th, and then they said a 4th at the most. Why on earth would you help the Miami Dolphins, who are in the AFC, who already beat you, and help them help their season? And the only thing you get back is a day 3 draft pick. Ain't no way I'll do that. Not only, I know I ain't supposed to say ain't no way, but I did it. I think somebody made a song, Ain't No Way. It might have been Aretha Franklin. So I'm going to use that. Why would you do that? And in the process, not only are you doing that, guess what else you're doing? You're putting yourself in the exact same situation that the Miami Dolphins are in right now, where you don't have a backup who can help you in a short period of time. Where even in Miami, it might be a long period of time. I want that kid to be all right, but those concussions ain't no joke. And once you keep getting them, they get worse and worse and worse. And I'm sure that there'll be some conversations had with him about what's best for his future. But still, why on earth would you help them? I know it's not like helping the Texans or the Titans or the Colts, but you're still helping a team that could get in the way of your wild card in case you need it. Why would you do that? And they own the tiebreaker because they beat you head up. So why on earth would you do that? And then all you're going to get is a 4th or a 5th round pick. Would you trade your quarterback security for Antonio Johnson? Would you trade your quarterback security for the lineman they picked this year? I mean, just anybody, just think of whatever it is that you could possibly get. And somebody saying it's the 4th or 5th round pick. I'm not helping them out. I'm not doing it. I will not. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't help them. Like, what is your interest in helping out a team that has already beat you head to head and they're still in the AFC? And even if they don't win the division, which they probably won't, but you might not win yours either. And then you standing there going for a wild card. Just imagine it comes down to y'all got the same record late in the season, and then the Jaguars are playing somebody and the Dolphins are playing somebody else. And they say if the Jaguars win, They still got to wait and see if Miami wins their game. And Miami's being quarterbacked by Mac Jones, and he goes out there and he throws 4 touchdowns, and they win the game and seal the wild card, and you standing around with your 5th-round pick. What good is it going to do? Just doesn't make sense. Some stuff doesn't even need to be entertained. Now, everything has a price. If Miami's desperate enough, especially if we make it conditional, like if he plays a certain amount of games or y'all make the playoffs, y'all got to give me a 1st-round pick. Other than that, it's a 2nd. Now we might have some talking to do. We might be able to talk now, but we ain't talking for no 4th or 5th-round pick. Nah, I'm not doing that. It just doesn't make any sense. And then you're putting yourself in the same situation that they were in before the game started last night. Like, you're one bad, unfortunate situation from not having the luxury of having a player who was a 1st-round pick who has started multiple games and also looked really good in the preseason for you. What on earth do you want to trade that to somebody else who could possibly even be in your way to make the playoffs? Come on, y'all. Do better. Don't even think about it. Why? I just don't get it. That's like a dude wanting the same girl you want, and you go help him get in shape and shave him and buy him some clothes, thinking he ain't going to get her. Yeah, he is. He should get her because you stupid enough to help him. I don't know, man. It's just me. I just thought I'd just bring that up and talk about that. No, I would not trade any assets. I keep everything the Jaguars have, and bottom line, to heck with the Dolphins and any other team in the AFC, unless you want to give me a 1st or a 2nd-round pick, a 2nd-round pick with 1st-round conditions, then we might be able to talk turkey, and I might just have to take a chance that Trevor ain't gonna get hurt. You won't get hurt checking me out on Locked On NFL. That's right. The barbershop, I left it, but it didn't leave me. And I'm going to give it to you every time I get a chance to on Locked On NFL. That's the 2nd dose of Locked On NFL. The first one is the madman Tyler Rowland giving you a shot of espresso, 2 shots of espresso, of NFL espresso, early, each and every day. You can make that your 2nd listen wherever you get your podcast and on our YouTube page. All right, man, we're going to win the game. I'll see y'all down at the stadium. Make sure you holler at me if you see me. I'll shoot you a wave or a salute. All right, good luck this weekend. We will do a postcast immediately following the game. As soon as I can get back to the barbershop studios here, we'll give you a postcast. We'll go live with it. And hopefully we're talking about a victory situation. Till then, you guys take care of each other. Enjoy the little bit of sunshine we have today here on the First Coast, and we'll see you Sunday.